Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about a frequently asked question. How can international students make it in the oil and gas industry in the United States? Before we get to the content, please be sure to like this video, subscribe so you can get more content in oil and gas and professional development topics, and please be sure to comment on the video below so I can incorporate your feedback into future videos. Please be sure to hit that notification bell when you do subscribe, because I upload whenever I want. Well, let's get to the content. There are a lot of disclaimers before I start talking about how international students can make it in the oil and gas industry. I am not an international student. I'm a naturalized United States citizen. I was born in India and I came to the United States when I was 6 months old, around the 90s, when my father got his green card, and then the rest of us got our green cards, my mother and me as a baby. And then 8 years later, I got my citizenship. So in 2002, I got my citizenship and became a naturalized citizen of the United States. It's been about, let's say it's 2024, right? It's about 22 years since I've been a United States citizen. So I do not share the experiences and the difficulties and the unique challenges that international students face whenever they come to the United States as of the past 10 years or so, or even the past 5 years, or even now, and coming to the conclusion of how can international students make it in the oil and gas industry. I want to credit Mohammad Tawhid Islam for recommending this video topic, and he goes to U of H as a doctoral student, so shout out to him. But if you're watching this video, I just want to make sure you get that shout out, you get where the credit is due, where the topic came from. And I've noticed that you are not the only one who has asked me this question as well. So that's the disclaimer I want to make. The other disclaimer I want to make is that all of these thoughts are my own, are not based on any of the associations or companies that I'm with. Another disclaimer that I'd like to make is a lot of the tips that I'm going to give are based on some of my personal research and some of the anecdotes I've gotten from international students that have happened to have made it in the oil and gas industry. So, with that being said, now let's get to the content. The first thing I'd say in order for an international student to technically make it in the oil and gas industry is taking the PhD route. Now, what I mean by that is, an anecdote that I can relate to is one of my friends who I have interacted with at the University of Chicago Booth School of Business has taken the PhD route, has gotten his PhD in chemistry and came to the United States with his PhD in chemistry. And because he got his PhD in chemistry, went through the OPT process, getting his F1 visa and everything, he then, and with extensive networking, he ended up getting his citizenship. So from my understanding, going through the PhD route is one of the easier ways in order to get the international student sponsorship, in order to get the US citizenship as well. So that is a tip that I would give, that if you really want to make it into the oil and gas industry, going through the advanced education route, which is the most common route that most international students take, is the way to go. The next tip I'm going to give is plan ahead. A lot of the tips that I'm giving are stuff that you need to be listening to before you enter into the United States. What I mean by that is I get messages from students all over the world asking me whether if it's worth pursuing an education in the United States, whether if it's worth getting that degree from the University of Texas or Texas A&M University. And my answer to all of that is yes, because not just because I went to those universities and gotten quality education out of it, but because it does increase your chances of making it in the oil and gas industry, especially in the United States. The markets are a lot more positive compared to other markets internationally, from my understanding. And when I say by planning ahead, it is making sure what is going to be your plan once you pursue that OPT. What is it going to be your plan once you start pursuing your work experience after the OPT, and once you start the application process and the extensive application process for that being said. So plan ahead before you even enter the United States of what your plans are going to be, whether if it's going to be the PhD route or whether if it's going to be just the master's, and network extensively in order to get that sponsorship opportunity for that security of the sponsorship and then the route to citizenship and permanent residency. The next thing I'm going to say is extensively network. I talk about this all the time in a lot of my videos. Getting involved in the Society of Petroleum Engineers, networking in the Society of Petroleum Engineers, taking leadership positions in the Society of Petroleum Engineers, in the local, regional, or even in the international level will benefit you immensely, whether if it is the route to citizenship or not, or the route to sponsorship or not. So if I were you, getting that networking experience and pursuing those networking opportunities would not only benefit you as a personal development standpoint, but also benefits your goals as far as making it into the oil and gas industry. And that should go without being said for people that are not international students either. Networking extensively is a huge skill. It's a lifelong skill that is going to benefit you throughout the future, whether if you make it into the oil and gas industry, and then after making it into the oil and gas industry in securing a full-time job and securing a stable career in the industry. So check out my videos when it comes to soft skills or when it comes to networking skills and why Society Petroleum Engineers is important, why the field experience is important. I have an extensive number of videos on that. I can put some of them in the description box for quick links and quick references, so feel free to do that as well. The last thing I'm going to talk about is targeting companies that you know that are going to sponsor you. So a lot of the energy that I've seen anecdotally from students that have talked to me and reached out to me for pieces of advice on how to make it in the oil and gas industry as an international student is that they're pursuing companies who do not pursue sponsorship opportunities. And it's not to their fault, because when you approach a company, sometimes you don't know whether if they're going to sponsor you or not. So it is that researching game, whether if they tend to sponsor international students or not. So what I would like to say on this note is that you try to shoot for companies that are larger companies in scope, like the large international oil and gas companies, the large nationally owned oil and gas companies, for example. And I would invest my energy into developing relationships with those company representatives there. Once that happens, then hopefully you get that sponsorship opportunity and you develop that work experience, that pertinent work experience that you can get. And even if they do not provide the sponsorships, you can go and try other companies that are even unheard of, but they do provide those sponsorship opportunities. It just takes a lot of communication. So that goes back to my previous point in the networking extensively in order to get that sponsorship opportunity. The thing that I want to tell to everybody who is an international student watching this video, or who is an international student that wants to come to the United States and make it in the oil and gas industry in the United States, is do not give up. Don't give up. I promise you. It's hard. I hear way too many stories as masters and as PhD students who have really good intentions about showing their knowledge, about showing their work experience, getting that chance. And I promise you, you will get that chance. I hear these stories so many times and I get overwhelmed by them, because even though I may not share those experiences, I know how it feels like when you're not given a chance. I know how it feels like that due to certain things that are beyond your control, you're not given a chance. But that door will open for you when you open enough doors, or when you knock on enough doors. And coming from somebody who's knocked on plenty of doors and who's reached out to so many people, I can promise you that something will work out for you. Reach out to me if you need any pieces of advice, or if you need any connections to make. Reach out to me if you want me to look at your resume. I will look at your resume for free, and I will give you quick and dirty tips on how to improve it. Talk to somebody that has the experience and that has the eyes as somebody that has been in the oil and gas industry and that is a company representative and that can give you honest feedback on your resume. Because chances are, if you haven't had the guidance in your undergrad or even in your master's degrees, you will eventually get that guidance once you reach out to somebody who's a company representative. But I just don't want you to give up. I really don't. There's a place for you in this oil and gas industry, and I love this industry a lot. And I would hate to see you just walk away just because somebody hasn't given you a chance. So that's everything that I've wanted to say. Well, folks, that's my piece of advice of how an international student can make it in the oil and gas industry in the United States. As usual, please be sure to like this video, subscribe so you can get more content in oil and gas and professional development topics, and please be sure to comment on the video below so I can incorporate your feedback into future videos. This is Yoga Shri Pradhan, and I'm signing off.